Ja, en andere jaren ook.
Geef haar een fantastisch
In een klein
startsalto.
zaaltje.
Maestro,
Van op.
hit it.
Ja, juist.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please for our next facts guest. Something wicked is coming this way. She's one of the strongest women in television history. She can wipe you out with only her eyes. She is the one who has shown you the incredible power of three. Ladies and gentlemen, give a rousing welcome to the magical, the stunning, the kick-ass charmed sister, Shannen Doherty.
Close enough.
Shannen, we Belgians pride ourselves in being bourgambiers, as we call it, which means we enjoy good food and a lot of drinks. And did you have a Belgian dinner last night?
No.
What, you just went out for pizza?
No, but I went to this amazing restaurant called Beiruti, and it was Lebanese food. It was absolutely delicious. So if you guys are looking for a place to eat tonight or tomorrow night it's only open until 6, but it's called Beiruti, Beiruti. It's fantastic.
Okay.
I have not had any beer yet.
You will have some, right?
Were you bringing me beer?
Absolutely.
Where's my beer?
It's backstage. Later. Anyway, this is for us. It's a huge opportunity to have someone like you in our audience, so that they can ask questions that they want to ask you anything, and it's your job to give them.
Oh, anything.
Maybe an answer?
Yeah, something like that. But before we go to the audience, if you don't mind, we all know you, of course, from Charmed and Beverly Hills 90210. But what many people do not know is that you're very actively involved in charity. Could you tell us something more about that?
Sure. I obviously do a lot of work for cancer research. I'm part of an organization called Stand Up to Cancer, and we're sort of one of the largest research-based charities, where I think last year we raised a couple of $100 million for research in 1 year, which is amazing. I also work with the American Cancer Society. And then of course I do a lot of charity work with animals, Animal Hope and Wellness and Sea Shepherd. The list goes on and on and on with the animals. The Dolphin Project to help the dolphins in Taiji. So yeah, it's sort of, you know, where my heart is at this point in my life.
Exactly. All right, thank you. If it's okay with you, we'll open up the floor for the audience for some questions.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
Young lady?
Hello, I have a question for you. I'm doing LARP, which is live action role playing. We play a role for a weekend, then we dive really deep into that role, and sometimes at the end of the LARP we get bleed, which means that you still have feelings you role had, or you're doing things you role did. And I was wondering whether you ever get that in acting, whether you, for example, went home from the chart set doing I can move anything with my eyes.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely not that. I never felt like I could, that I actually had superpowers. But I think sometimes you put so much of yourself into your character that you can definitely go home with some of that character. That's definitely happened to me quite a bit. And usually when that happens and it's a TV show, if it gets too much, that's when I choose to leave. Because if you're not playing a character that you really like, it can be hard to come home as that character sometimes. But good for you, because that means that you're rolling hard. You're doing a good job there, because You should. Some of that courage should always come home with you at the end of the day.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you.
When you played in Charmed, the woman who played your sisters, do you still have contact with them?
How old are you?
10.
You're 10?
Yeah.
Adorable. I do still have contact with them. Do you have contact with them?
No.
Not anymore.
Maybe next time they'll be here and you can have some contact with them.
Good question, good question.
Just a little closer to the microphone, I'll help out.
Sorry, go ahead.
Je voudrais savoir si vous aurez le projet de faire des conventions sur les anciennes séries que vous avez fait, Charmed ou Beverly Hills, avec les autres acteurs, en Europe ou aux États-Unis.
Okay. If my French is a little rusty, but if I understood
is mine.
yeah, if I understood it correctly, the question is if there were conventions organized around Charmed or Beverly Hills, the series that you were in, if that is something you would be interested in going to with the other actors on the show.
Possibly. I mean, we have done a bunch together, at least for Charmed. We've done a bunch together. There are a few people who've been to the ones that we've done in Paris before. So we have done some, and Niners would know we haven't really done any, and I don't know if I would now, just because we're missing the most important piece of the puzzle of Niners would know forever now. So I don't think I would. I don't know how I would feel about that.
Hi. I was just wondering about your fight against cancer. Where did you find the strength to beat that monster? Because I followed you on Instagram and Twitter, and the message you spread of hope and positivity is just endearing and powerful. And I was wondering how did you do it?
Thank you. I think that when you're diagnosed with something like cancer, you really have to make a decision. And the decision is that either you're going to be a survivor and fight and learn something from the journey, or you kind of let the cancer rule you and take over your life. And I just chose to not have that happen. And I chose to be very sort of open to the experience, to the good, to the bad, to everything. And I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I grew up a lot, and it's odd to say, but it was one of the most amazing, beautiful experiences I've ever had in my life. It doesn't mean that I would choose to repeat it, but I think that there's quite a bit to learn from it, and I'm thankful that I was able to sort of take my head out of the victim mode and to instead go into survivor mode and glean anything I could possibly learn from that experience, to just soak it all up.
Hello, and thank you for coming to Belgium. My question is actually somewhat related, so I hope that's okay, Belgium. Unfortunately, I lost my father last year to cancer, and I was wondering what your advice would be for anyone who is faced with the disease, or a loved one who has a loved one who is, and maybe also if one would support cancer research, which would be good places to support, because there's so many things.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about your father. You know, what's really interesting is that I don't think a lot of people realize how hard cancer is on the family. It's something that I obviously now know because they went through it, and I watched what it did to my husband and how it impacted him. I watched how it impacted my mother, how it impacted certain friends, how it didn't have an impact on other friends. Like, it really teaches you so much. So somebody facing cancer is kind of the same thing what I said before. You have to really dig deep. You have to sort of visualize that, like, you're an endless well. So when the well seems like it's dry, there's no more oil or water there, you drill some more, and what do you know? There's like a whole new reserve that you can tap into of inner strength. And you just have to keep tapping and tapping and tapping. For the people who are going through it with you, I think the most important thing is to make the person smile and to be positive with them, but also listen. I think sometimes when you're watching someone go through cancer that you care about a lot, you almost want to put blinders on and pretend like, no, it's not happening. And I think the person who's going through it actually needs those people to be the ones to listen, because they're who you're closest with. And as far as places to donate, I would say Stand Up to Cancer would be probably my #1 choice at this point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do I go to that side now?
Thank you. One of my favorite movies with you is A Burning Passion, Margaret Mitchell's story. You did an amazing job in it.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if it was easy for you to play this part, and if you'd like to play someone else who already existed in another movie.
Well, thank you. It was one of my favorite movies that I did. It was, I was born in Tennessee, so I thought that having a southern accent would be really easy, but it wasn't easy because the accents in the South are very different. So a Tennessee accent is very different from high society in Atlanta, which is where Margaret Mitchell was. So, you know, between the dialect and then the sort of period piece and playing that character and finding the balance between her inner fire and her inner strength, which she had a lot of, but it being tempered by the day and age that she was in at the time and the men that were coming in and out of her life. So it was challenging and fantastic, and it was one of my favorite directors of all time, Larry Pierce. So sort of, it's definitely one of the projects that I'm the most proud of. And is there anybody that I would want to play now? I mean, there's so many. There's so many like politicians I'd like to play. Like, I'd love to play Katharine Hepburn. I'd like to play Audrey Hepburn. You know, like any, you know, sort of any woman who made an impact on the world. I would love to play. Jane Goodall. I'd love to play Jane Goodall. That would be like my dream.
Thank you for this answer, and thank you too for what you said just before about Neither to Honor. But I'd like to add that from many of us, the most important pieces of the puzzle is you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shannon. Hi. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming to Belgium. Actually, one of my all-time favorite movies is Heathers. So I wanted to ask you what it was like working on set with Winona Ryder and the other members of the cast and crew.
It was great. Thank you. Heathers is one of my favorite pieces that I've done as well. So back to back, you guys are now two of my favorites. I think Winona and I were pretty much around the same age. So we were both in school at the time, which meant that I certainly didn't get to hang out with the rest of the cast a lot. I also, I think, was very sheltered and shy back then. So I didn't even understand half the jokes that we were saying. But it it was sort of, I felt like my first grown-up experience on a set. And did you see the series that recently came out?
No, I haven't.
It's really good. You should see it. But it's the cast is fantastic. They're really, 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 really good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi Shannon, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
I have 2 questions for you. If you should move to another country, where would it be and why?
I would move to Africa.
Oh shit.
And I would move to maybe like Botswana or Kenya in Africa. I went to Africa on my honeymoon, and it changed me in so many ways, and it's made it, vacations are very hard for me now, because I'm not the girl that can now just go like, I used to go to Mexico all the time. I love Mexico. And I thought the best vacation in the world was lounging in a bikini and sipping a margarita. And I'm now too antsy. Like Africa, you sort of crave that place. It has so much soul, and so much like juxtaposition going on. You know, it's just shanty towns and mansions right next to each other, and you know, you can go right there to Mozambique, where there's just so much sort of turmoil and sickness, and I just think you learn a lot in a place like that. So I would probably live there.
Okay, thank you. Second question. If you could offer to someone you know, or just even someone you just met, one piece of advice in life, what would it be?
I think just to love. That's it. Really simple. Just love. And that means so many different things, right? I'm not just talking about like loving a partner, loving a husband, loving a wife, loving a boyfriend, loving a girlfriend. I'm talking about just loving people, loving animals, loving this world. Love and respect. It's like the 2 most important things. And so many people operate from a place of hate, which baffles me, because you're not ever getting anything back. You know, hate only breeds hate. But love, you get so much back when you love someone, when you know, I can look at you right now and say, I love you, you know, and like, look at your smile. Like what you're giving back to me in this moment makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel good that I was able to like be nice to you and maybe lift you up today. When I see an animal and you know, I appreciate its beauty and I appreciate everything that it brings to this world, and I get to love it. So for me, just love. It's so important, and I encourage all of us, especially now in this day and age, what we're living with, just to find all the love that you have and like keep putting it out into the universe and spreading it to every single person.
Thank you. Beautiful words.
Hello. My question is, did you guys pull any pranks on each other on the set of Charm?
Yeah, sure. Of course we did. The best prank ever pulled was one that was pulled on me. And it was pulled by the transpo guys. So the transpo guys are the ones that bring, you know, our trailers, that sort of drive all the trucks with all the equipment around. They're actually ridiculously important. And whenever you guys have like lotteries here, right? Like Super Lotto, Powerball, all of that stuff. So whenever it would get really big, we would like buy tickets. So sometimes like Alyssa and I would pool money and buy every crew member and every cast member a ticket, just depended. So this was one time that Alyssa bought everybody tickets for a lottery. And I left mine in my dressing room because I had never won anything, so I didn't think anything of it. And I came to work the next day, and my makeup artist, Catherine, was like, oh, have you checked your lotto ticket yet? And I was like, no, I didn't win, it doesn't really matter. She said, well, we're all checking ours together, just check yours. So when I got it from my dressing room, she had the newspaper that had the winning numbers. and I'm reading them and like, okay, I have 2 numbers, 3 numbers, I have 4 numbers, I have 5. Oh my God, I just won the lottery. And it was like, I don't know, like $50, $60 million or something. I freaked out. I ran out of the makeup room, ran into my dressing room, I grabbed all of my stuff. I went to my car and I started leaving, and they ran after me and they're like banging on the window, screaming my name. I stopped my car and they're like, where are you going? I'm like, I just won $60 million, I'm out of here. Thank you. I didn't win.
But you left anyway.
Shannen, from one cancer survivor to another. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Well, apparently well done to you as well.
It's one of those things that positive attitude does make a difference. It's how you look at that disease as an attack, and how we turn that back into love and not allowing it to knock us down. It is a struggle, and I congratulate you for that. I have a question in the area of this new series that they brought out here with Charm.
Let me get comfortable for this.
I'm looking at these girls, and they're supposed to be sisters. Okay, I understand. We're kind of wide open nowadays. We're all mixed a little bit, especially me. I'm a little Irish, but it's only showing on the inside. But what do you think of this new pair? And I'm like, do you think they're gonna have the same kind of hair problems that you and I have?
No, I don't think they'll have those. I haven't seen the new Charm, so I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's fantastic, I don't know if it's bad, I don't know, but what I've been saying from the beginning is that, again, it's far more difficult in life to make a point of spreading love, but I would rather spread that love. I know that those actresses that are now at Charm, they're actresses. They want a job. They want to be able to pay their bills. And they want to connect with an audience just like we connected with an audience. And maybe it's not your Charmed, but maybe it's your sister's Charmed now. Maybe it's your brother's Charmed. Maybe it's, it's a new generation's Charm. And I think that if Charm did as much as what I'm told it did for some of you, for most of you, then it's kind of amazing that it could do that for a whole new generation, right? So instead of hating on it, like what was happening on Twitter and social media, and I was very disappointed, and I was pretty vocal about how disappointed I was with the hate being spread towards it. I choose to say, fantastic. I think it's incredibly flattering, not only to us, the actresses, but most importantly, I think it's flattering to our fans, the original Charm fans, that we have such a loyal, strong fan base that they even attempted to make another one. I think it's them trying to grasp some of what we all have, right? So I think that's beautiful. And I hope it grows, and I hope it does well, and I hope that it impacts another generation like it impacted all of us. You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I was a huge Charm fan and a Beverly Hills fan. It's so amazing that you're here. So
Thank you.
I actually had the exact same question that was just asked, but also you said you're not aware of it, but would you want to be a part of it if they asked you, the new Charmed?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many times I've said, no, I would never do something, and then I oddly end up in it. I don't really know how that works, but, so I'm not going to say no. I'm not sure it's necessary right now. You know, do I have some moments where I think how cool it would be to see Peru as an elder or white lighter, or I mean, you guys probably could come up with 1,000 different ways that Peru could come back. So I think it would be cool to see her in some capacity, so that we all have closure of what happened to her, because there wasn't any. But I don't know if it needs to be on the new Charmed, or if it needs to be in a new comic book. I don't really know. So I'm not there yet. Nor are they there, and they're doing fine. They just got picked up for another season. So yeah, they're doing good.
Okay, well, I hope we get that closure, because like you said, we didn't get it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Sure.
Hello, my question is already asked, but I have another question. Okay. Which actors or actresses do you want to work with in future projects?
Oh, God. I mean, I love Nicole Kidman. You know, I just think that she is one of the most phenomenal actors there is out there. She blows me away every single time. So I would love to work with Nicole Kidman at some point. There's so many, you know, the Clint Eastwood, Robert De Niro. I mean, the list, I would literally be here for 2 hours trying to list all the different people that, you know, I want to work with at some point in time. I think, you know, and that list would include directors and writers. So, unfortunately, we don't have 2 hours.
Well, I went also on a vacation to East Africa, and it's still memorizable. So, yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I would say you realize I'm very pleased you're here and that you actually alive. I have like 2 questions for you. First of all, in the series, if you could choose to save one of your sisters from Tom, who would you save?
What? I mean, I'm not choosing.
But if you have a choice, which of the 2 would you save?
I would, it's Crew. She would figure out how to save all of them.
Yeah!
I mean, the only person Crew would ever sacrifice is herself. She would never sacrifice one of her sisters. She would always, remember, I could ask her for Jack, so she would figure out how to like grab both of them. So yeah, both.
That's awesome. And the second question is, you died quite early in the series. Is there like a reason for it?
Sure. And next question.
Well, I just want to say I'm honored to see you here and that I went through the
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Shannen. Nick, I have a question about the power of telekinesis, the power of astral projection. If you could choose one other power, what would it be?
In real life?
Yes.
In real life, it would be the power to heal.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well done.
In real life, is there a possibility that you do a shoot later?
You know, it's so funny. We've discussed it for sure. I think that sometimes working with friends doesn't always work out for the best. When you're on a TV show, maybe in a movie we would, because it's more like limited. You're only working together for anywhere from like 1 to 3 months. But that is one of my closest friends, like dear, precious, wonderful friend that you know was at my hospital bed every single day. So it's work isn't even secondary. Working with her is like so far down the list, because just having her in my life makes my life so much better and enriches my life. So that's all that I really focus on.
Thank you.
We've got time for one more question.
Oh, so much pressure. One question, it's the last question. If it's not good,
Put her in.
Poor thing, you're nervous now, aren't you? Really, take a moment and think about this.
So my question is, by going to multi-fandom conventions, did you meet other actors or actresses that you didn't know before and that you're still in contact with? If not, is there someone that you'd like to stay in touch with?
Have I met other actors and actresses? Yes, I've met other actors and actresses on this amazing journey of conventions. But I think the better question is what has been the best experience of coming to these conventions, right? To me, that's the better last question. So here's what I can say. You guys make it fun for me. So I want to say, give me your hand, girl. I want to say thank you, all of you, for such Okay,